Hemendra, are we,
Yes, Vaibhav.
sir, are we live on YouTube also? I mean, live
Yes,
as in.
we are. I have just shared the link on the announcement.
Hemendra, are we,
Yes, Vaibhav.
sir, are we live on YouTube also? I mean, live
Yes,
as in.
we are. I have just shared the link on the announcement.
Hemendra,
Hello, a very good afternoon to all, and a warm welcome to all to joining today for all over the world for the session of Google Analytics 4, which is moving you to the future of measurement. So, as you may know, on July 1st, 2023, standard universal analytics properties will be no longer process the data. So there are many new features in GA4. We cannot cover too many sessions, so we are going to cover in one session. But let's make most of the day and understand how to start and what's new and how to and understand the features, and most importantly, how to get it to work for the AMP. So I would like to welcome Mr. Vaibhav Singh to lead the session. As Vaibhav leads UX for Meteorology, he's been evaluating Google Analytics 4 since the early days. So over to Vaibhav.
Thank you, Princey. Okay, thank you, Princey. Thanks for the warm welcome. I guess there's an echo happening. Let me adjust the volume. Cool. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I know it's a bit of a post-lunch time, so we'll try to keep it short. So yes, let's start. As Princey already told you that this session is all about Google Analytics 4. I'm sure you must have heard it many places in blogs, from technical experts, from the news is all around that GA4 has launched, and on top of that, on your universal analytics property, which is UA3, which is kind of a property which every website owner starts with that, and your day starts with that, your day ends with that, with all the analytics, how much my site has performed, what are the numbers. The view has now upgraded. On UA, if you're opening your UA account, you must be getting a kind of a toast in the top that the data will stop recording from July 2023. And we have been on this UA from very long. We know each and every functionality of it. We have integrated the events, the analytics parameters and variables according to UA in all of our websites. And that is why it is one of the most important dashboard for all of the website owners. Now, when it is being upgraded to GA4, it's a huge shift. And when I say huge shift, just not in sense of the view or the measurements, but in sense of a lot of things. It will kind of change the way you look at your data. Earlier, if you just to give a small preview on UA, there was a lot of custom events which you need to put, and all these events are divided into different parts. There was one page views event, there was one scroll event, and we could place custom events also. You could find out many variables like users, like page views, sessions spent time, and a lot of other things which are very important to us, bounce rate, so on and so forth, which used to come in the first screen of your user analytics. Now, moving ahead, we would cover what has been going on, what has been upgraded, what things which is missing. So luckily, there's nothing much which has been missing, only very bare minimum functionalities which are no longer use of the new web, which we are going to see in a couple of years. Other than that, all positives which I can explore in a very short span of time, along with the data. So see, it's an analytics tool. Nothing goes through, no experiment happens along with the data. So with the data, we have found out that, okay, there are lots of new upgradations, which not only will help the publishers or the website owners to see how their website is performing inside their users, but it's a combined group of all the things which we've been hearing from last couple of years. So without taking much time over this, let's move to the a little bit of the interesting part, just to a little bit shook you up because it's after lunch. I would understand that kind of the sleepy period, but I assure and team is going to be interesting. And in between, we are going to have a free digital goodie bag for all of you, and I'm sure that will help all of you to implement and integrate that goodie bag inside your websites. So we just wanted to have very quick poll. Uh, if you're a website owner, you're a publisher, you must be having multiple or one website. Which Google Analytics version are you using on your current projects? Is it UA or is it the new updated GA4? So very quickly, moderator, please project the polls over there. Please feel free to poll over it. How many of you are using UA and how many have you ever upgraded to GA4? Okay, all UA so far. Still UA. Still only UA. Good. So that means our session is going to be a little bit productive for the users who are still using Universal Analytics and need to shift to the UA part. There's just one more quick poll which you wanted to have. The website owners who are using UA, are you able to see any? Have you recently seen any drop in your real time traffic? Like earlier, it was going to be a bigger number, or do you see same users in your real time traffic for a longer time? The page views. Good. All yes. That's great. So that means we have found out the reason why actually people have seen all these problems inside their most important dashboard and how we could enable it and how we could upgrade it. I won't say enable it, how we could upgrade it in coming GA4. Please start with the browser is acting a bit. No issues. So we'll move towards what other points which we're going to talk about today. So we're going to learn a little bit about GA4, what is new inside GA4, what are the dashboard and features I've talked, and you must have heard from a lot of places. And if you've explored GA4, you have seen the entire dashboard has been completely revamped, and there's a lot of new features which is completely added to it. So we'll explore them. One very major thing which is going to be affecting the analytics implementation is event capturing, and how that event capturing is going to work in normal web pages and especially inside the AMP pages. Implementation of normal web is pretty simple. The new tag which we get is can be controlled by a tag manager, but in AMP it becomes very crucial. And since majority of the traffic which publishers are now getting on AMP, so it becomes absolutely necessary for us to capture the events on AMP and capture the new users which are specifically coming to AMP pages via searches. Next, we are going to go ahead with the setup, how we could do an easy setup on normal web pages and AMP pages. And at the end, we will have some time for question analysis. So I would just like to have a small video to understand how GA4 has launched. What was the idea behind GA4? Why it was launched? What was the concept? What actually led to GA4 to be introduced in place of UA3? UA3 almost have all the things with us, but we could hear the reasons from the team themselves.
Web or computer audio is not visible. Can you please check?
Sorry, man. Apology, we are facing some of the issues with the audio. Just allow us 2-3 minutes.
Apologies for the hiccup. Vaibhav is just joining back in.
Heyman, I'm going to play the video again. Please let us know.
Yes, please.
Hey everyone, I'm Krista Seiden, and I'm here today to talk to you
Audible,
about
Vaibhav,
getting
thank
started
you.
with the new Google Stage. It's
Sorry, man. Is it okay now?
no secret that we're Hey everyone, I'm Krista Seiden, and I'm here today to talk to you about getting started with the new Google Analytics 4 property. I'm super excited about this, as I hope you are too. So let's go ahead and dive into the slide deck for a quick overview. To set the stage, it's no secret that we're living through a period of immense change, and end user privacy is top of mind. Around the world, regulatory changes such as CCPA and GDPR have raised the bar for end user privacy. Browsers and other platforms are making changes to core technologies, such as cookies, that which is why, according to Forbes, everyone, I'm Krista Seiden, and I'm here today to talk to you about getting started.
My apologies, everyone. We are facing some of the issues with I would like to video in the end for everyone that what all has been covered, but just to give you a brief overview about, since so much of data is getting recorded in one place, there's millions and millions of websites which are pushing their data every day for the users, for different events, lot of functionalities which we build in our websites, and we make sure no matter what happens, the user data, all the analytics data, all the event points get collected at one place. So moving forward, a little bit about what is new inside the new dashboard, how you can integrate your website with this new dashboard. But before integration, let us know a little bit about what has been added on the top of what was there inside UA3. And we have spent a long time on UA3. We already knew each and every dashboard, how to build custom reports, how to prepare for events, how to create custom events. Now, the analytics team has been watching this all from quite a time, and they must always be getting the data. So they thought of upgrading the stack. Why not provide all these things which are only accessible to some core technical people, and why not create a dashboard? Why not create a beautiful layout of the data representation? And that is being the core idea behind building GA4. Now, this is a little bit of sneak peek what is there inside GA4 before we deep dive into the bigger features. First, this 360-degree customer-centric data. Whatever, all the data which you're going to get inside your GA4 is going to be around users. How many users are coming from what devices, what are the sessions, what are the building of customer action which is happening on your page, whether those are scrolls, those are taps, those are clicks, so on and so forth. All these things are there to be, will be there inside your dashboard of GA4. A new thing which is added is life cycle reports. So earlier you were not sure that what is the life cycle of the user which is coming to your website, or what is the primary source of acquisition. So for example, if a user is coming from a social media channel, or a user is coming from a organic channel, that you are not able to identify it clearly that from what primary source the acquisition has happened. Now you would be able to track for each and every user, no matter you have millions, billions of users, but you will be able to track all this data inside the Google Analytics dashboard. Next is predictive metrics. Now, it is something new. We kind of used to predict something on our own that, okay, the indexing is happening a lot, so we should see a lot of AMP traffic coming to my pages. But now what GA4 has done has added artificial intelligence and machine learning on that predictive metrics. The dashboard or the machine or the engines which are running behind and which are reading your data, analyzing your data, they will find out that, okay, this is the pattern this particular website observes, and based on the activity which has happened in a short span of time, it would be able to predict what metrics you could expect in few coming days, until any major issue happens on your website or there is some other update which has come. But based on data, it would be able to give you some predictions, and that's going to be a huge plus for the website owners. Next is smart insights. Again, machine learning not only gives you predictive metrics, it will give you some of the smart insights. For example, what are the trends? What are the major keywords on which your pages are ranking? How many pages are coming inside the featured search? How many pages are converting into Google card on Discover? So all these things, these smart insights will be given to you. You must have already seen smart insights are already there inside Google Search Console, but you will be able to cross-check them with your analytics now that, okay, these many users or these many page users come from this particular source. Future-proof reporting. So this is again on top of what has been there on UA. As you're not able to see the video, but in the video, the spokesperson have covered the consent part of data. You must have seen allow cookies pop up on lots and lots of websites. So there's a consent part which is there. So this gives you some data controls to manage and to regulate the data privacy guidelines on your website. Last but not the least is the Google Ads integration. Google Ads integration was there a bit before also. You could link your AdSense to your analytics and track goals or create some parameters inside your analytics. But this time it's went a little bit more deeper. You could not only just measure your generic GA4 Google Ads, but you could identify smaller audiences, your paid and organic campaigns which you have launched in very much of depth, and some of the data points which you're missing, you will get all of them inside the new GA4 dashboard. Now, this is look like. So we are going to let it play inside the background, and we'll talk about a little bit of what new has been added. There's a mixed response which is coming from website owners as of now that, okay, the new dashboard has become a little bit of complications. We are not able to see the reports which you used to see earlier. The dashboards or the graphs or the acquisition part has more turned graphic. We need to get the numbers. But this is good, right? Earlier you were the only one who was able to identify from the numbers. Now a whole team, a whole visualization which which GA4 has offered inside the new dashboard, it will be very visible. You could be able to track the progress, negative or positive, inside your dashboard with the help of these dashboards, and you don't need to create those dashboards. Based on data, these dashboards will be auto created for you. Some of the dashboards are pretty standard, but there's a provision of creating new and new dashboard. You could compare this with creating custom reports earlier inside your UA. Now, this is a still screenshot of how a new dashboard looks like. What would you find on this new dashboard? You could see where do the new users come from. So that is there on top of your analytics real time, that you could see the majority of the users coming geographically, demographically, or you could filter it based on the data which you wanted to filter, any data point or any filter point which you wanted to add. Not this demographics or geography, but you could also search the users by the help of user medium, whether they're coming from organic, referral, direct, social, so on and so forth. You could get it from there. As you could see, the second dashboard is, or a second widget in the dashboard is just below the real-time dashboard. Earlier, if you have to do it, we have to go to audience and do, or the acquisition app, and we have to apply a couple of filters. But now these all will be available to you in first glance. Second, what are your top performing campaigns? So if you are into campaigns, you do run campaigns on organic or on social media, you would be able to track them more granularly inside the new dashboard. And last but not the least is what pages are trending, what screens are getting the most of the traffic. This was a major, I won't say drawback, but we have to do a little bit of, we have to put a little bit of effort to get and identify what all pages and screens are getting the most page views. Now, this is available to you on the first glance of your dashboard. So even after publishing a smaller, a small difference between a post or any older post which has been trending, this not only just gives you an immense depth into your data, but also help you take certain decisions which you could integrate inside your website. A big difference which has happened from UA and GA4 is the type of data capturing. So as you can see, if you could see on the screen on the right hand side, there's a table which is there. So earlier what we used to measure different variables. Earlier we used to measure page views, we used to measure events, we used to measure social, any transaction if you're integrated any e-commerce widget inside your website, what is the user timing, what is the bounce rate, duration, if you're using apps, so how many app or screen views has occurred. So all these were different parameters, and all these used to fire based on what you have added inside your analytics, or what code have you added inside your website. Now, all that has generically categorized as events. So that is the power of GA4. It has grouped everything inside an event. It treats page views, any traffic, any transaction, user retention, bouncing rate, screen view, exception, anything, any particular metric, any major metric which you used to measure differently on UA has now turned itself inside an event. Now, why it was necessary? Why do generalize one thing if these all things are different and are used in active view with publishers on a lot of places? Why to generalize them to event? The reason behind is with the event, you could assign n number of properties to it. So for example, in page view, I could only see how many page views occurred on a single page. But if it is an event, I could track that event or trigger that event at any place. It's not just restricted to one page view. This event can be used in different places, in different dashboards, in different reports. That's where the generalization actually helped. So in viewing part, there will be no difference. When you view data inside GA4 dashboard, there will be no difference which you feel, but this is which is happening inside the background. Again, one more important thing is cross-domain management. So earlier we used to face certain issues. So for example, a lot of our publishers who are on in a different solution, who use different mobile sites or desktop site for serving on different devices or different set of users. We used to do a lot of cross-domain browsing of our website. So for example, your desktop website could be on www.abc.com. Your mobile website could be on m.abc.com. Your AMP website could be on amp.abc.com. Or in fact, you could have different two websites also. So abc english.com or abc-hindi.com. But you want that data to be collected at one place. The generic practice was to place a similar analytics code both or and different version of your websites, and to filter that data inside analytics based on different parameters that from where it is coming. But again, there was no solid differentiation which used to happen. In GA4, you could do that. If you have added same code, add different properties, you could filter the data no matter what cross domain traffic or data transfer is happening. If even a user is jumping from one domain to other domain where the same analytics code is present, you would be able to identify how that transition happened. More and more AI-powered insights and predictions. So I already told you about predictions. Prediction was something which we used to depend upon a lot of blogs and a lot of area experts, that how do they predict if my website is performing like this as of now, how it is going to perform in next 1 month or months or years. Now in GA4, you would be able to get some insights. So for example, in a lot of ad platforms, you see that based on your earning potential, the ad platforms gives you a revenue projection that you could earn this much in these many days based on your earlier projection of the data. Same is now happening with GA4. And if you've added or integrated your ads, AdSense or DFP account into it, you could get the revenue data here itself. But the good part is now you would be able to get some AI-powered insights that your site has performed so much. This is the number of daily users which are coming on your website on a generic basis. If there is no huge high and lows, and even if there are huge high and lows, it would be able to predict that in next coming 15 days or 20 days or 30 days or whatever period you select, you would be able to get these many customers or these many users on your website. Isn't it amazing? I mean, you would be able to predict and compare whether I am doing the right thing on my website, whether my competitions are doing something extra on my website. And we would be doing a different follow-up session on this, that how predictions can actually help you to grow your brand and grow your website traffic. So please keep following the same space. We would inform you within the upcoming session, specifically on AI-powered insights and how you can use those predictions inside your website and other business. Next thing is event tracking. Now we talked about that GA4 has converted all the small variables which were there before into event tracking. Now some of the events are predefined. You cannot expect a non-technical person who handle all these analytics related, that how much this particular news or this article is performing, or in simple words, if a total editorial team wants to check how their data is performing inside their website, which particular article, which particular post is getting most of the traffic. All these things can be generalized now in an event, and you can configure n number of events inside a page. So for example, if you can see on the screen, there are 3 predefined events which are already there: page views, scrolls, and outbound clicks. Page views is a default. We wanted to know that whether the user landed on what page and is the page view registered with the GA4. Second is scrolls. So if you remember a couple of years back, there was a lot of third-party websites who used to give the heat map of the website, that at what level the scroll is happening. After that, that support has been added to Universal Analytics as well, that how many scrolls are happening, up to what much percentage of your page user is scrolling and then bouncing off. And third is internal links or external links, or have user clicked on a social share icon or on a logo at any place. All those things will be captured as a default when you apply these event tracking with GA4 on your website. So you are not able to just view the page views, but you would be able to view much more data, that this user has come, let's say 10 times on my website, how much generic depth do they scroll, and on what point they're bouncing off. And if they're bouncing off at one generic point, we could also try to add certain widgets or certain engagement section over there, so that we could save that user from bouncing off. One more, a little bit of enhanced view which is there is a real-time report. Earlier, the real-time report was just limited to the real-time users, but the dynamic have shifted a bit. Now you would not be able to see the exact real-time users, but you would be able to see the users which are there on your website in last 30 minutes. The one page view or one event occurs happens for a limited amount of time, and after that, if the browser is closed or the user has bounced out of your web page, the number gets deprecated. Now, what it added into this and what led to this decision? So there's a huge data which has been dumped to Google Analytics from billions of websites. Now, how to make sure that a page view of, let's say, 10 seconds and a page view of 1 minute is equivalent. So that is why what GA4 confirmed of that we would be considering, and we would create a benchmark that we would be projecting the users which are present on your web page in last 30 minutes. And below that, there's a small graph here which you could see the user per minute. So you have now both of the views with you. A broader view to see that how my website is performing in the real time with the users per minute, and a standard set which would be followed across all the websites, which is how many users are there inside your 30 minutes. Now, this is not very exciting. This is just an addition. But what exciting is the representation of the data behind. If you could see in the backend of the screenshot, it is there. You could see the map, and on the map, you could see the hot maps or the hotspot where the users or the majority of the users or the majority of the traffic is coming in from your website. Isn't it amazing that you just seeing it on your phone, laptop, you could exactly track that from where my user is getting onto my website, and that too in just one single click using real-time overview. Now, why these changes has been made? So just to make sure that the traffic is coming from a verified source, and to confirm that my tracking code is working fine. That is the reason the 30-minute span is added inside the GA4. Some of the sites which are added specifically to rich media formats, like if you have a YouTube video or if you have any video playing on your website, it will also have one analytics or one event triggered on your web page, whether you have configured it or not. So it is like a net which GA4 has given you, that you don't need to add small things to track every action the user is performing. We are going to give you a standard set of features, and you could create the ecosystem around that. Now, as I talked about that, how you could track one user, how you could track where the user is sitting, from where the traffic is getting generated, but you would also able to track cross-platform and the more activity of the users. Now, how to do that? If you just focus on the screen, you could see that at what time intervals my user has performed action on my website. For example, this user is a real-time user, which is from this particular place. The location is around this geographical, let's say, in this case, Mexico. And there's a timeline of events which is there, that at 4:36:40, my page view has been registered. After few seconds, the user engagement happened. So when we see user engagement, it could be a scroll, or it could be another event which we have captured over there. Then again, the page view happened at 4:35. Then a scroll happened. Then next page view happened. So you will be able to track the whole journey of the user until unless it is there on your website. And when I say website, I mean multiple websites also, but in case only if the tracking code is the same. So not only cross-domain, but a whole life cycle of the user is tracked, and you will be able to identify that how much time a user is spending on one particular page, and at what moment the user is now clicking or doing some engagement activity on your web pages. How this could be useful? Now, this could be useful in many ways. So, for example, if you see there's a lot of page views happening, and there's a miss in between user engagement, that means engagement elements on the page are less. We need to work a little bit more on the website. If a user is spending just 5 seconds on the page, what could be the reason behind that? Is my page opening slow? Why the average duration of the what Google Analytics provide you or other platforms provide you? Why it is not getting mapped? Why the whole journey of the user is very short, although he or she has browsed 10-12 pages. So a single user and the the timeline of events, the timeline of how the user is interactive of your website, for me and for a lot of analytics people, a lot of product people, a lot of website owners, this is going to be a very, very major data. And you could again segregate this data based on demographics, geographics, and a lot of the filters which are available inside the GA4 dashboard. Apart from that, this is not just limited to AI. This is not just what GA4 is telling you that we have done this. This is all good. You don't need to do anything else. But they've added a layer above it where you could create analysis hub. So if you remember in UA3, we used to create some reports and custom dashboard. This is a similar, not similar, but an upgraded version of that. You could create different widgets inside your GA4 dashboard and filter the data based on that. So if you like funnel analysis, if you like path analysis, if you want to see segment overlap. So for example, I just wanted to see how many people are coming on one category on normal web or on AMP. That's this segment overlap would be a perfect segment to demonstrate and see it visually for the people who are working on the website and the content. And these are only 4 major ones which we have, which I have added inside this slide. There are around a couple more which exist, and GA4 team has promised that they will keep on adding more and more interactive dashboards to the template dashboard, to the analysis hub, where you could filter your data and build beautiful visualizations around them. Now, earlier we used to do a lot of goals and conversions inside our UA4. Now, as I told you that most of the things are converted into events. In fact, all the variables, all the hits, everything has been converted into events. So how to measure that? How to still create some goals? How to not disrupt the ecosystem which was there before? So here you could simply go to the events, and for managing the custom conversion goals, you could mark that particular event name as conversion. So whenever that event will be hit, it will be added as a number or a token to your conversion list. And through that, you could manage your goals and conversions activity which you used to perform inside UA. Now let's get to a more interesting part of it, how to set it up. We have been getting a lot of queries from the publishers, the website owners whom we work with, that it is becoming a little bit of a challenge for them to do a web setup, because the good thing with the analytics was that you have placed that code once inside your page, you don't need to look it again. Like I still remember on the website which we made live, we put the analytics code 2 years back, and we never saw it that where the ad code has been, the analytics code has been added. Now this altogether a new setup is there, how to upgrade on that. People have a lot of questions, and we will take up those questions in the end of the session, that where will my data go? If I upgrade to GA4, will the data of my UA be lost? No. So the simple answer is no. You could still merge both of the properties. But before that, let's deep dive into how you could do a very easy setup with a couple of clicks on the new dashboard. So whenever you will upgrade to GA4, it will take you to this screen where you have to build data streams. Now, I understand the events and streams, these are a bit of a technical terms, but it's very easy. Think of a stream as a channel. So from whatever channel your data is coming in, and channel can again be named to anything. The channel could be device based, a channel could be platform based, a channel could be anything. That's where the data streams comes handy with GA4. So whenever you click on that banner with the over top toast which are getting on or UA property, you will land on the screen. Just select whatever property you want to select over here. So for example, it is for, if you are using it for any apps, you could select iOS, Android. We have covered the web part into it. So for web, just click on web, and then you could click on this particular bar. This bar will take you to this screen. Now, you could match the previous points which we have covered into this screen. In the enhanced measurement, you could enable all these measurements. If you don't, these are auto-enabled, so you don't need to do any actions over it. But you could see what more enhanced measurements are added to your website. And in case you want to create some more custom events, you could also do that from the GA4. But for a basic start setup, you don't need to do any manual actions. All these things are pre-filled to you and will be automatically applied when you upgrade to GA4. Now, when you land on the screen, you will see two options. You want to add new on page tag, or you want to use existing on page tag. So if you are still using G tag or Google Tag Manager on your page, you just need to change the ad code over the analytics code over there. But if you're using UA3 still on your Universal Analytics, you could upgrade it by copying this code onto your website. Now, if you look a bit closely on this code, this is very much similar to Google Tag Manager. So only thing which is changing is the ID which is there. So earlier, if you remember, the IDs start with UA hyphen, which is Universal Analytics hyphen, whatever your Analytics ID would be. Now it has been changed to G hyphen. So that is the only change which you will see. For implementation, just you could simply copy this code and place inside your web pages. That's it. That is it. So there is no challenge so far in implementing this ad code, this analytics code inside your web pages. Now, before implementing, just keep a couple of things in your mind. This analytics code is just for regular web pages. This is not for AMP. As if a person who has worked on AMP pages, they could identify, since there's a lot of script tag, you cannot paste this code on your AMP pages, otherwise it will start throwing the errors. And we have seen this happening to many website owners in last couple of weeks. And because this code has been added, although it gives you data, but it gives an AMP error, and hence it could result in deprecating your AMP page views or blocking some of these streams for your traffic. So please, while implementing, make sure that you implement this code only on your non-AMP pages. Now, the major challenge comes with the AMP setup. These things, and if you go to, if you read articles, you watch videos on GA4, you could see they are proudly saying that we have provided one-click setup, and which is a very wonderful thing. But a lot of documentation is still pending for AMP pages, since most of the traffic and the majority part of traffic, publishers in the last couple of worked on bringing more and more traffic to AMP pages because they are faster, safer, and they follow all the standards of World Wide Web. So why it is, how we could transform and how we could implement the new analytics, which is GA4 on AMP page with the same ease. So it's very simple. We have made it actually very simple for you. The existing set of AMP setup could be easily transformed into the GA4. So for that, before starting, what do you need? You just need this particular GA measurement ID, which you will get while setting up your GA4. So this particular GA ID, this is the second screen while you're setting up, and you could copy it from here. You could revisit and copy it from here. If you have already set up it for your normal web, you could just go to dashboard, go to data streams or property settings. You will be easily able to get this measurement ID, or otherwise you will get this measurement ID here as well. So what to do next? In AMP analytics, if you saw, there were two parts of AMP analytics. One, a script used to go into the AMP head, and then a body code used to go inside the body section of my page. Where is the change? The change only needs to place inside the body section. We don't need to change anything in the head section. We only need to make some changes inside the body section. Now, we promised you a digital goodie bag. So that is the digital goodie bag which we will be providing to you at the end of the session. So if you miss anything inside this session, please don't worry. You will get all the materials with you in your email if you have subscribed to us. Now, what is inside the digital goodie bag is detailed implementation guide of AMP pages, how you can implement the AMP code without any effort or challenges to your AMP pages, how you can set up custom events and tracking. So if you want to set up certain events which you specifically want on AMP for the new users or the existing users or the organic users who are coming in, you can do that. And on the dashboard, how you could set up and filter those actions. If you want to see only AMP page views, how would you be able to see? Because you could get organic page views or non-AMP pages also, but you wanted to, if you want to see the traffic, how much traffic is coming to my AMP pages, how you can filter that in GA4. So let us quickly take you to the deck, which is kind of a goodie bag which we have prepared for you. I'll zoom in the screen a bit so that the implementation is visible to everyone. Okay. Now, on AMP, there are certain restrictions which we have seen already. On AMP, we cannot put any script, and we could be carefree about it. If any third-party script, which is not permissible inside AMP guidelines, could cause the errors and could lead to any traffic downfall also. So we need to be a little, precautious here how we are going to implement it inside the AMP. And keeping all those vectors inside, we have in this goodie bag given you one-click implementation of AMP of GA4 on AMP Analytics. So what do you need to do? The first step is to check this particular JS, is it present in your website on your AMP pages. If you're already using UA on your AMP pages, then I'm sure this script must be already present. But in case you don't have it, please place it in the head section of your AMP page. Moving below is a short snippet of AMP Analytics, which you need to put in the body section of your website or your web page. Please don't worry about the deck. This deck will be provided to you in the end of the session. So you will be getting step-by-step instruction inside this document. So now what this particular code does. So this is, I just wanted to take 1 minute to explain this. In this AMP Analytics, this is a generic implementation of AMP Analytics. On AMP, you have to surround the analytics into AMP-analytics tags. And inside that tag, you could declare this script tag. And inside this script tag with GA4, you can pass custom variables and custom events. These are the custom events which we have talked about. Now, the list of these custom events is not particularly finalized and provided to us on AMP portal, amp.dev or google.dev as well. But these are the standard set of analytics which has been used in UA. And some of the code reviewers given us the nomenclature of these variables and custom events. So, and you don't need to worry anything about that. You just need to fill in the data to make sure that you get all these events inside your dashboard. So here, the only thing which you need to change is the GA4 measurement ID. So, which I told about that inside the screen, you must have got this measurement ID. Only thing which you have to do is place this GA4 ID here. That's it. And your task is done. AMP Analytics will start crawling your page, and you will able to see the AMP data inside your web pages. Now, there's a little bit of catch if you want to be doubly sure that I want to register all my events. I want to register all the users, page views, and all the custom variables which are present on my page. So you just can explore a couple of other variables which you have added to it as an extra, and which will not only give you insights, but give you the primary insights which are absolutely necessary for your page. Second point here is GA4 endpoint hosting. So generically you could give googleanalytics.com, which is a custom domain of Google Analytics. But yes, if you want to track, or if you have a custom tracker and you want to send that particular event to your custom domain, you could add a custom domain over here. So if you have any tracking server, you could enable it from here. Default page view enabled, so this needs to be true. Even if you make it false, the default page view enabled will still track your page views. There's one more thing which we've added to is Google consent enabled. So it will take, and this is still in the formation part, Google consent will take the analytics allowed by the user on their devices and only track that percentage of that. As privacy becoming more and more a concern of the end users and of the brands as well, this consent actually provides a good layer of security for users, not only users, but for website owners as well. Couple of new things which we've added to this is Web Vitals tracking. We want your pages Web Vitals to be tracked, so you could control that now inside analytics only. the Google Search Console and other parameters or other dashboards still would be able to track Web Vitals for you. But in case you want to see everything at one place, you could allow the Web Vital tracking here also, and you would be able to see that dashboard inside your analytics as well. There are a couple of other things which are also there, like what is the performance timing tracking, at what time your page gets load, what are the interaction values, how much time, all the, if you remember the core Web Vitals, so TBT and time to blocking or time to make your TTI, at what particular time your page is getting interactive. So all those things will be tracked from here. And a couple of other custom variables which we have added and we have experimented with this. If you want to, if you are running any DFP or ad manager ad, you could send a tracker that this particular ad has been fired on this page as well. So this is one more step towards safer delivery of the ads for advertisers and publishers. So a whole detail about it is being given to you inside this document, will be provided to you shortly after the session ends. Now, one thing which is very, again, I would like to take your attention to one point, is we have to declare a config here. Then this is again temporary, this will go away. We have to declare a config which makes sure that this particular page or JSON is hit. Now, JSON is getting into all the parts of the web pages. If you remember, earlier we just used to depend upon meta tags and meta keywords for measurements for the SEO and different other parts. Now we are going towards schema LD-JSON. Now on every page we have to declare LD-JSON. Why it is easy for analytics provider? Because they just have to go to one page and define terms, and from those defined terms they could pick up the data easily. Here you could get the link of this JSON. You could get the link of the JSON here. You just click on it. It will open the JSON for you here. In this JSON, you could see there are a lot of variables which we have defined. These variables are again very carefully matched and created for specifically for news and media website, but works universally at all places. You don't need to make any changes inside this particular dashboard. Although if you do have any questions, you could revert me on my email ID and we would be happy to answer. But just to give you an overview, we have mentioned all these trigger inside it, whether it is page view trigger, Web Vitals trigger, performance trigger. There are a lot of other variables which we have covered inside this. So you don't need to make any changes over here. Although if you have any, again, if you have any query, you could always reach out to us. So you just need to add this host this JSON on your GA4.json. Similarly, like you host add.txt or any root files, and give the path here. And inside that path, you could add the AMP Analytics code. And with this, we would be able to get the traffic or the required details which we have fulfilled inside this particular metric. And this particular variable listing is not just limited to 7 or 8 features which are listed here. You could explore and add more variables to it, again, based on what particular events you wanted to track on your AMP pages. Now, quickly jumping back to the slide, we are almost above the time. So just to wrap up, what are the new capabilities in GA4 properties? So first, again, event editing and synthesis. Now you could create custom events. You could even edit the custom events and build the report according to you. There's a huge deal of data import. So if you're using the same analytics for app and web events, you would be able to filter the data based on different protocols. We already talked about cross-domain measurement. So do try it with, if you have multiple websites, do try it with multiple websites or subdomain, and you would be able to easily get the cross-domain measurement done inside your UA. There's a lifecycle reporting. So we have seen inside the slides, earlier slide, that you could easily track the life cycle of the user, that when this user land on the page, at what time he performed event, what was that event? What is a click event? Was it a scroll event, or the n number of events which you have configured inside your dashboard? And one good thing which is again added to is e-commerce reporting. So if you have an e-commerce angle to it, GA used to give very less data to the e-commerce players, but now e-commerce reporting is also there. Again, you could bind different action, that how many people have clicked on buy now, how many people have clicked on cart icon, how many people have clicked on the favorites icon. You don't need to depend upon custom analytics for this. You could do all of this in GA4. Their migration tool. So as we have covered, you could migrate on the existing account also, or you could set up a new GA4 property as well. And the onboarding flow is pretty much simple for the generic users, and for AMP user, please feel free to use our goodie bag and implement and give us the feedback on how did it work out for you. So we still 2 minutes above time. Just I wanted to have a few minutes for the questions and if any feedback you have for us. So we have Princey with us. Princey, do we get any questions from the users so far?
Yeah, thanks, Faber, for sharing your features on GA4. So we have few queries. So first we have, is it worth upgrading to GA4?
Yes, absolutely. So again, I leave the decision to the attendees who are attending this. If you wanted to get the updated dashboard, if you wanted to see more and more data of your users, then yes, it is worth it to upgrade to GA4, and this is the future. Google Analytics has kind of made sure that there is no choice. You have to do it either now or in July 23. So the sooner the better.
Second question we have, main difference between Universal Analytics and Google Analytics 4.
So we have covered these many points here, and to the user who has asked this question. There is no basic difference, as in the basic difference is in the measurement criteria itself, how things are getting measured. So earlier, the things were more measured on simple statics, like this is a page view, or this is a scroll event, or this is a user, this is a bounce rate. All these were constrained to their different roles. Now everything has been generalized to events. So it becomes very easy for analytics also, and to represent it visually using graphs, and apply different filters to it. And you could use one event at multiple places. So if you're planning any campaign, if you want to measure anything, those events can be configured at different streams.
Third question we have, can UA and GA4 coexist on the same site without affecting the CWB score?
Okay, so that's an amazing question, and I was kind of expecting it. So yes, the current implementation right now, and we would also recommend you to have both implementation side by side. Whether it might have an impact on Core Web Vital again depends upon the implementation of it. But yes, please be rest assured that the effect of one code or two code will be same in the Core Web Vitals. So if you have implemented UA on your website, in a defer manner or in a lazy load manner, or the manner suggested by the Core Web Vitals guidelines, then it doesn't matter if you have both of the codes present on your page. But in any case, you right now the situation is that it's recommended to have both of the codes. So you could also, if you find any difficulty in exploring the new dashboard, you could refer to that data in your old dashboard as well. But always, also be aware that on GA3, you will be facing some of the data leaks. You won't be able to see the correct data which you were seeing before. You could see a little bit downfall inside the metrics, or you could see downfall inside the real-time number also, because this solution is kind of fading away, and Google itself is not promising to give you the exact data on the older property. But yes, please be assured that even there might be some data leak in between, let's say real time or on the overall time. But if you look after, let's say after a certain interval of time, you would be able to get the correct data even on UA as well. So yes, to answer the question again in one line, it is recommended to have both of the properties as of now on the page if they are not affecting our Core Web Vitals. And even if you have one or two, both it would have the same effect on Core Web Vitals. I hope.
We have one more query from Vijay Abraham. He has written, I have been using GA4 and UA side by side. I'm noticing a significant difference in the number of users in both. GA4 is showing lesser user numbers compared to UA. Why is this?
Okay, so usually it's the opposite case, Vijay. Not sure why this is happening. Just need to have a look on the implementation part. Have you implemented GA4 on AMP pages also? Because that might be one of the reasons you are seeing less users on your GA4. Because if the implementation has not happened on AMP, the GA4 will not be able to track what is happening on your AMP pages. And since there is no official release of AMP implementation, that could be one of the reasons. Otherwise, the case is actually opposite. People are seeing more real time on GA4 and less on UA because the data leak which is there, or the new concept of showing the data in last 30 minutes is kicking in, and that is kind of confusing the website owners. Vijay, I would leave my email ID. Please feel free to help with your website, and we could review the implementation. If it is there inside AMP and all pages, then the data should match.
Thank you, Vaibhav. So we have the last query. There is Rashi. She has written that I wish to conduct an analytics session for my team. Let me know if it's possible.
Sure, Rashi. My team will reach out to you, and we could discuss the possible outcomes of that.
Okay, this is for all the sessions. So thank you everyone for participating and conducting the session. Thank you. Thanks, Vaibhav.
Thank you, Princey. Vijay, we have noted down your email ID. We'll reach out to you. We have one small rating of the session. How do you like the session? Please rate your experience, and based on that, we would be able to plan the next session accordingly. Thank you, everyone.